It's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's also a show. Hey.
Now your special, which is A New Day on Netflix.
Yeah.
Joyful, funny. Like it's
You saw it?
You've got it's first of all, it's the craft that you've honed for all this time, which is just, you're just a killer.
Thank you.
But did you intentionally make it joyful, or was just what you were talking about?
It felt that way.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you why it was a celebration. Because this wasn't my first stab at it. Like 2 years ago, the deal was, doing summer camp, Dave was seeing me every night, right?
Yeah.
I was the only comic every night doing different material. I was the only comic that would incorporate something that happened the day before into it.
Right.
And he's always been a fan, but he was like, God damn. He's like, God damn. Then he came to me, he's like, man, I want to produce your special.
Nice.
I don't ask him. The crazy thing is, my friends, I know this sounds weird, that I don't expect them to do business with me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk about, hey, could you do this?
Yeah.
I would like to keep our friendship pure.
Yeah.
Now, if you come to a point where you want to do that, that's one thing. That's how it was with me.
Yeah.
I never said I want to produce a special. I was like, yeah, all right, fuck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So during that time, he got connected to me with that, and we was going to do it, but we were waiting. We was like, there's no place to perform. So as the COVID protocol and restrictions started lifting up, a certain venues like, yeah, you can do this at 30%. You know what I'm saying? You know how they were like this.
Yeah.
And this. So it was a Fillmore in North Carolina, right?
Uh-huh.
We found the date there. And then people like, why did you pick the Fillmore? I said, because I wanted to get a check, and that was the only venue that we could get.
Right.
I was like, find a spot. I was like, let's do it, right? So we did that special, and it started off like horrible because we lost half of our audience because of the restrictions. You have vaccination cards, and you tested, and also we left half of the audience. And that first show, it was a good show. I got it off, but I had to work too hard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't supposed to be like a half-filled crowd.
Right.
Whatever. And then Dave was upset with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, everybody, Donnell, you're the only person that did your job.
Oh, really?
Oh, man, he yelled at Robbie Praw. He yelled at everybody. I was like, they're not going to want to work for us.
Yeah.
Right? So that was it. And then the first show, he didn't feel good about that. Then he's like this. He said, Donnell, this is before the second show. He was like, if we don't get it now, we can shoot it again. I hadn't made no money about a year. I was like, no, we're getting it right now.
Yeah.
I need it right now. I don't know when we're going to do this again. So I stepped up to it, and I ripped the room, right? So now we got that in the can, and Earthquake had did a special too.
Right.
So they did the double up. This is called a home team. This is Dave giving opportunity to comics he felt that the industry overlooked, and they needed an opportunity, right? So Earthquake was in the can already. Mine wasn't edited or anything, but it was in the can. Right? So we had did some promos like the part of a home team series, blah, 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 Donna and Earthquake. In fact, it went to press as we both are going to come out.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it went to press as like Donnell and Earthquake
Right.
specials coming under the umbrella of Pilot Boy Production or whatever. So maybe 2 weeks after the announcement of that, I'm like this, we getting ready. Dave still hasn't really looked at the special. He's slow roll like shit. But I'm like, we're gonna get to it. And then I was in Baltimore about to perform, and he called me, right? 5 minutes before I was going on stage. He was like, yo, D, what's up? I was like, what up, Dave? Oh shit, we about to pop it. He was like, yo, D, I want to shoot your special again. And there was this pause. And he's like this, hello? Like he thought I hung up. He said, hello? I'm like, we going to do what? He said, yo, D, I'm telling you, man, I know it's hard for me to say this. I'm in editing right now. I want to do it again. And I said, Dave, and I shared this story on multiple podcasts. I said, how do we go from me getting a standing ovation, chest bumping Stan Lathan, hugging my son. I had brought my son out at the end of the show, like at the end of it, like, hey, to wanting to do it again. He said, Donnell, listen, I can put you in front of any audience and you will rip it.
Yeah.
He said, that doesn't make it a great special.
Wow.
I was like, what? It's funny. He's like, that doesn't make it a great special. I said, you got to talk more. He said, there's a lot of COVID jokes in here.
Oh.
And what we're trying to do is something evergreen.
Mm-hmm.
Something that will stand the test of time. Something that if you played it 5 years before, it'll be funny. 5 years later, it'll be funny.
Yeah.
He said, and he was like, and I've seen you do those jokes better. And I was like, I know I can do them better. I said, but what was that moment? And for me, practicing for a special like that, there was no place where I could headline or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I was piecing a set together by
Yeah.
doing 10 minutes here.
Yeah.
I used to do, you know,
It's
you get the
tough.
lights. I'm like this, okay, this 10 minutes. I would have to do 10 minutes here,
Uh-huh.
then 10 minutes at another club. I'm like, but I'm going to bring it all together.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had to really deal with constructive criticism. But then when he told me that, I couldn't be too mad because the check had already cleared. You know, it wasn't
Yeah.
like upon delivery of this.
That was
Yeah.
my next question. Does
Yeah.
it mean you get paid twice?
No, but the first check was enough to cover twice. It could have covered.
Yeah.
It was unfair.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was not unfair, but
Yeah.
for me to be a new jack coming into it, the money he got me was incredible.
No, it's great.
Right. So, okay, we're gonna scrap it. I'm like, when are we gonna get this in? So a year after that, we were doing shows in Napa Valley. Dave records everything for archive, history, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked at one of the producers that produced his show. He looked at it. He said, Ricky, how many cameras do we have here? She said, we got 5. He looks at me and said, yo, you want to shoot your special?
Jeez.
I said, when? He said, tomorrow.
Where? You were in Napa?
Yeah, it was a performance art theater. He said, when? I said, when? He said, tomorrow. And first thing I'm thinking, like, I don't have a suit.
That was my first thing.
I know it was going to be your first thing. Like, what am I going to wear?
What am I going to
Right?
wear?
I'm like, what am I going to wear, man? The jean suit is out of it. That was the first one.
TJ Maxx.
Right? But I was thinking, because then I was already on my little suit stuff, right? I was like, when my problem was like, I need a tie, right?
Uh-huh.
Because then I'm like, this is going to be classic, right? So I had to drive to San Francisco to get a decent tie
Oh,
and a
my
different
God.
shirt. But I was like this, I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
And the thing that excited me about it, because I didn't want the hoopla of like telling my parents or anybody like,
Oh, yeah.
hey, yo,
Takes the pressure off.
the pressure. I was like
Yeah.
this. We were actually about to shoot a special that nobody knew about. It was
That's
only 4
amazing.
people. And I felt it. I was like, I wanted to feel like that. So went up there again, ripped the audience,
It's great.
smoked the
Did
audience.
the audience know it was a special?
Nobody knew.
Did the socks you wore know?
I wasn't on the socks then.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't on the socks. The socks knew it was something special. That color of pop was something different,
That was
right?
amazing.
So I'm like this. Nobody knew, and it made me feel good. I was like this. I wanted to feel like a regular show.
Yes.
That's great.
You know, I said take the pressure off.
Maybe that's why it felt very like conversational.
It felt the second one. Okay, so I ripped that show, right?
Okay.
And I'm like this. Nobody knew we were doing it. Not Netflix or anybody.
Right.
I ripped the show, so I called Robbie Praw,
Yeah.
right? Mind you, years ago, Robbie Praw, about 5 years ago, I said, Robbie, what do I need to do to be in to have a better conversation with you? I'm asking him about the special, but without asking him.
Yeah.
He said, Donnell, I love you. You're a funny guy. He said, but you got to understand, and I respected it. He said, you got to understand, we tell people no all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like this, I got to continue to be in his face until we get to the point where he can't say no. And that part came when it came to him and Ted Sarana came to Yellow Springs. When they said whether Dave wants to produce a special or not, we want to work with Donnell.
It's so great.
okay.
But I knew not
That's
to
the
take...
craftsman. That's the
the
beginning of
craftsman.
the story.
Yeah, and I was like this.
It's-
I had an option. They would have probably
Never stopping.
never stopped. They would have gave me a certain amount of money, of which half of it I would have had to put production. I was like, no, let me wait it out. Dave's name attached to it, his expertise, I'll get
Yeah.
whatever. And that happened. So after we shot the show in Santa Rosa, because Robbie was like this, when are we ever going to do this special? So I called him. I was like, Robbie. I was like, yo, we got a special. He was like, let me see it. I was like, because nobody knew. I was like, you
Yeah.
ain't going to believe what we just did.
So,
But let me tell you. So
Yeah.
I was like, we got a special, right? He's like, nobody's going to believe. I was like, you're not going to believe we got a special. He was like, well, send it to me, right? So I'm like, we got this. I had the suit on, and I knew I was like, go for the old school. Go for the Richard Pryor live at Sunset Strip.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I made sure I had a wired mic. I said, let's make it simple.
Yeah.
Just a black stool, a spot. Let's just make it simple. Let the focus, not on the production of it, but me and
Yeah.
the jokes. 2 weeks after that, Dave was like, I want to do it again.
What?
Yo, Then I said, why? He said, I didn't like the production. I was like, you're the producer. Is this an example of self-hate? Respect my boundaries, right? So that one's dead. I'm like, I ain't doing this no more. I'm like, I'm keeping the money. That's all I know. Y'all got to sue me or just be like, whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God. So I was like, when are we going to ever get this date on? I'm looking at my schedule. I don't want to pass up no weekends. I'm making decent money now, right?
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I got the New York Comedy Festival coming up, right? It's a dope venue there. I was like, and then I looked at Dave's schedule. I was like, hey, why don't we don't have to worry about it. It killed two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
We didn't have to rent a space out. You know what I mean? I'm like, just bring the cameras.
Does he have cameras everywhere? Like 5 cameras on every show?
Not every show, at least 3.
Wow.
But I'm telling you, like, if you can afford to do that, like, when I tell you, whenever, and I don't want him to die or anything, but the archive, you know what I'm saying? What you know what I mean? But what he's setting up for
There's
his
going to be some footage.
Oh, my God. Right? So, and
Wow.
now I'm like this. Now, we're going to the 3rd time, right? Now, I'm all the homework he told me about those jokes, like, I'm doing my homework.
Yeah.
Every time he had a criticism about something, I changed it. I changed it. When I did it the first time, I was dressed like a rock star. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, you a rock star. We had, like, damn near fire coming out the backstage, lights and everything. I come out like, yeah. He was like, you're a rock star. Then he was like, I don't. Then he saw me start wearing suits. He was like, I don't think you're a rock star.
You're a banker.
Yeah, that was disrespectful. That was so disrespectful. You might as well say you were going to a funeral. Somebody died.
That was a sharp suit. Whatever I saw, I don't know if it was special number 8. I don't know how many you guys shot.
No.
Whatever I saw was sharp.
But look, so now I'm like, now I'm listening to everything that he said from don't do these jokes, but think about this. And man, when I tell you I went to the drawing board, I was like, things that I was always successful with, being animated, which I didn't lose on this special.
Yeah.
I could get away with a lot of stuff. Being animated, my voice is distinct. I could sell a joke. I was like, with my body, being physical. But I said, now, Donnell, if you're going to crash this, he kept on saying, be precise, be precise. So then I was like, you know what? Now I got to work on my writing. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I want...
Just the words.
I can't waste a word, Tom.
Yeah.
I said, I can't waste a word. Any word I say has got to mean something. And I said, I want to write this where if somebody made this a transcript, you could read this entire set. Some white boy shit. That's what white guys do.
I know what you're saying.
White guys and Chris Rock. I had to turn it to you.
I went through the same thing where I stopped taking the mic out of the mic stand because I'm like, how much... am I just hamming it up? Right. And how much is legit funny?
Then I was like, now if I take it back, then I know if I take it back to make it everywhere count, then I put the Donnell on it, it's gonna be cool. I said, and that set, you could literally read that set and it would be funny.
That's right.
You know?
That's
so
right.
I was like, what is gonna make this difference? So when I got that down, then I was like on the clock. I was like, on the clock. This can go to this, this can go to that. And then I think that what you saw was a combination of the first time, second time, and the third time. And even comedy is very subjective on what style of comedy you like. And I'm not telling people it's the funniest thing in the world. But what I am telling people, it's the best feeling in the world.
Right.
I'm telling you, it feels good.
Yeah, exactly.
Even a couple weeks ago, Dave said, I think it's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, you know? That's what I mean, joyful. Did you feel like at the end of all of this and finally getting it out, what would have happened if you had released one of the earlier ones?
I think it would have been dead in the water.